is on We Are What We Eat. I will tell you a little bit about the League, about the library, and about Acres before we start. The League of Women Voters is a grassroots, nonpartisan organization. We encourage informed and active participation in government, and we work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and to influence those policies through education and advocacy. And the library tells me that their mission is to enhance the quality of life in Albany County by offering access to a diverse collection of materials, there being a key partner in education, and offering community-based programs through its professional and friendly staff. And I would say that is absolutely true. The library is dedicated to having a strong presence in our community, in our communities in Albany County by promoting its services throughout the county. Acres Student Farm, some of you may know about them, some of you may not. It began as a seminar course designed to allow agroecology students to fulfill internship requirements. And the class was first offered in 2007 and then again in 2008. And I have quite a bit of history and I won't tell you all of that. But the first summer in 2008, they raised produce, obviously, and they sold it at the farmers market in Laramie and to Big Hollow Food Co-op. They began a composting program that year as well. Over the years, Acres has sold produce at the farmers markets in Laramie during the summer and to several other places. And they told me, we have two students here who are members of Acres, Gabriella Gualano and Hannah Dunn are here, and they'll be glad to talk to you about Acres. And they told me anybody can be a part of Acres. You just go to their meetings. They're on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock in Ag 41. And if you ever drive on Harney Street, you've seen their sign for their farm, and I drive there a lot, and I see people out there working a lot. And now they have what I call hoop houses, and they tell me that they have different kinds of insulation and different ways that they're using those, and they're using those for research, which situations work the best in Laramie. So go to Acres. Acres stands for Agricultural Community Resources for Everyday Sustainability. I hope you all signed in when you came in and hopefully left us your email and maybe a phone number so that we can let you know the next time we have a public information meeting, and we'll let you know, and you can all come again. So this whole concept of talking about food came about because of a couple of things. The League of Women Voters of the United States is doing an update, that means any league across the country can participate, of our agriculture position, which we started in 1986, and it was a 2-year study, so in 1988 we had a finalized position. Things have changed, obviously, and so we're updating that position nationally. So we started talking about that, and then of course we've all heard on the news things about the Farm Bill, and how does that affect us, or does it affect us? After all, Albany County is a little short on farms, except for very small ones. I grew up on a farm, and I haven't seen anything that looks like where I grew up in Albany County, and I'm sure some of the rest of you could say the same things. So we're looking at not just the Farm Bill, because it's really a food bill, and it sets, I would say, our eating and our farming policy in the United States. What do we grow? What are we going to support having producers grow? It's a 5-year bill, and you'll hear all kinds of things about how it cuts spending, how it costs this much, how it did this, how it did that. I don't have it digested. Brett's going to talk a little bit about that. He doesn't have it digested either. I don't think anybody has it digested yet. But we're going to start with the big picture and then work our way to Laramie. So our first panelist tonight is Brett Moline. He's the Director of Governmental and Public Affairs for the Wyoming Farm Bureau Federation. And I asked him to talk and tell us a little bit about the Farm Bill and how does that affect what happens in Wyoming. If you can't hear, please move up. We do not have a sound system tonight. We do have air handling, so if that's interfering with your hearing, the speakers, move up. Brett?
Well, thank you, Margaret. I appreciate this opportunity to come visit with you. Actually, I want to start with a couple of questions. How many of you have a connection with agriculture? How many of you buy food? All of you that buy food have a connection with agriculture. Every one of you. I want to make that plain that the Farm Bill does affect you because it is going to impact how food is grown. The first Farm Bill was in 1933. What two events were going on in 1933?
Dust Bowl.
We had the Great Depression and
Dust Bowl.
the Dust Bowl, an unprecedented drought. We realized that our farming practices, in many instances, weren't up to what they needed to be. So through governmental programs and some governmental agencies like Cooperative Extension and some other things, they taught proper farming techniques. So that's why in the last 80 years, our soil productivity in the United States has actually, for the most part, increased because we've learned what we were doing was wrong. We've made it better. So currently, the situation of the Farm Bill is the House has passed it, the Senate has passed it, and now we are waiting for the signature of the President. From my personal standpoint, the frustration of not being able to get a Farm Bill through, and I think this is going to be the first one that we will, if we get it through, it'll be the first one in 3 years. If anything should be nonpartisan, it should be the Farm Bill. It's going to be about $95 billion a year. Of that $95 billion, about $70 billion is through the nutrition program. So about $25 billion will go to actually to production agriculture and some other federal agencies. There's many different aspects of the Farm Bill. Part of it is what we're trying to do with the Farm Bill is we're trying to alleviate the boom and bust production that agriculture is notorious for. Last year, the price of corn was fantastic. I believe it was about $8.50 a bushel. So what did farmers do? They planted corn because it looked like it was going to be profitable. What's the price of corn now? About $4.50 a bushel. So overproduction that drove the price down. But there's another aspect to it. What's corn fed to? Feed corn. It's fed to cattle, hogs, sheep, turkeys, livestock production. Right now we are at the lowest point in our livestock, our cattle inventories for decades. The reason for that is we've had some major drought. What happens? You don't have feed, you can't afford to keep them, you sell your cattle. So right now cattle supplies are down and prices are high. But the reason for the Farm Bill, especially the money that's going to agriculture, is to try to stabilize that. They used to use a lot of price incentives that if you overproduced, and then they would get a direct price subsidy. They're moving away from that. They're going to more insurance programs. So that if you buy insurance and the price is not where it should be to at least be a break-even price, you will get some help through the insurance program. That's kind of what we've gone to rather than the direct prices. But there's other things associated with the Farm Bill. There's a couple of programs. One of them is called EQIP, Environmental Quality Improvement Plans, that they will cost share to try to get better farming practices, ranching practices, get better water development to help stabilize and improve our resource. So that's kind of where we're at with the Farm Bill. It has been cut. It's been cut about 8% overall. 1% of the cut has come from the nutritional programs. And as we were discussing earlier, we're hoping that decrease, that 1% overall in the nutritional programs, there's some trouble with, is the money really getting to where it's going, where it should be? They're estimating that hopefully they can reduce some fraud so that what the money that actually is supposed to be going to people is going there. Is that pretty much what you want me to cover, Margaret?
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else? Do you want to talk about, do you want to say what happened with Bill? Just because
Okay,
it affects Wyoming.
very good point. And especially in the western United States, we have a lot of federal land. Wyoming is about 48% federal land. They had a PILT payment, it's called payment in lieu of taxes. Since our federal governmental land does not pay property taxes, they came up with a formula that local governments, especially the counties, would get money through, they would get paid so much per acre based on two different formulas, and there's restrictions based on population. But they would get money because they have this federal land. It would help out the local governments. Congress decided that we didn't need that money anymore, but they did get it through into the Farm Bill. An example how important that is, in Albany County, that's $1.3 million. That's about, I believe it's about 7% of the county's total budget. Albany County, as you're probably mostly aware of, Albany County is a very poor county. Our largest industry is the University of Wyoming. How much taxes does the University of Wyoming pay? No property tax, no sales tax. They do, because of having it here, you do get a better population base, but then having a lot of federal land, that PILT payment was extremely important. So we did get it in through the Farm Bill instead of through some other agencies. But the Farm Bill also covers the United States Department of Agriculture that also provides many services. Part of that, I believe, is the Wildlife Services that helps with predator control to help out the wildlife and livestock animals in this county, in this state. Okay, with that, you want me to take questions now or later?
No, let's have everybody talk,
Okay.
and then we'll
Okay, thank you.
questions. Thanks, Brett. And I failed to tell you, there are pieces of paper and pencils on the chairs, and if you have questions as the panelists go along, please write those and save them, and we will collect them and make sure we're not asking the same question 6 times, which can happen. Our next speaker is Jill Dunn, and she's the General Manager of Food Services for Albany County Schools, and she's been asked to tell us about her kitchens, her personnel, food deliveries, cooperation with other agencies, and the first thing Jill's going to tell you is that she's a contract employee, and I was blown away when I heard all this. So Jill, you can come up here or you can stand there, it doesn't matter.
I'll come up there.
Okay, very good.
I think when people say a contract employee, they kind of get all freaked out about it. But Albany County School District and Sodexo, which is a food, we're an international company that does hospitality services, have been in partnership for a good 13 years. So we've been in the community for quite some time and have partnered, so you don't even know we stand out as a contractor. My job at the school district is I oversee 14 schools. And I don't know if you know that Albany County has 14 schools. We have one central kitchen, which is right down the street, and that actually feeds 2,000 students a day. We prepare food and we send it out on trucks to different sites. So we have 7 local sites that are farmed out every day. Then we have 3 in-town schools that actually have self-op kitchens, the junior high, the high school, and Linford. And then I have 3 schools that are out of the city limits, Rock River, Centennial, and Harmony. They are far enough away that they felt that it was better to educate them out there and keep them centrally located there. Because we are a contract service, we have certain stipulations that we have to follow. We are regulated by the county, We are regulated by the state, and we are also regulated by the government, the feds. We get commodities. Albany County gets a commodity surplus every year. We get approximately $95,000 to spend on commodities, and those are foods that are processed for the USDA that actually are proportioned out through the state. So every month on a Wednesday, second Wednesday of every month, you'll see a huge food truck that delivers. They deliver the food bank right 2 weeks after us. And so we utilize that. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. How many people have heard about the regulations that they have put into school nutrition programs? Anybody know what it's called? Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act. And what it was is it was deemed to provide students with a well-balanced diet. And it's incorporating more grains, more fruits, more vegetables, and lower fat and sodium content into the diets. So hence, the lunch programs of 20 years ago where you went up to the window and you could buy Twinkies and a Coke are long gone. You'll now walk into a lunch program and you'll see cafeterias, and we have full-fledged salad bars. And we have 100% whole grains that are offered at each meal. We have more turkey products and more vegetarian items that are offered. And do the kids like it?
Probably not.
No. So our challenge is to actually get 3,500 kids to want to eat lunch. And when you have families that are living on convenience foods, it's hard for kids to eat healthy because they're more into the junk food. So we have a baker that's on site. She prepares all our breads, and it's made from 100% whole wheat products. We make muffins. We make 100% whole wheat cookies that are sent out that are deemed adequate grains. We do cupcakes. We do a lot of specialty products. So we meet the requirements of the government. Now, starting with this next school year, they're really going to come in and say, okay, you did it at lunch and you met all the requirements. Now you have to do it at breakfast as well. So that's a big challenge of getting things that are appealing to kids that they're going to eat that are healthy. Every year we have the state come in and they do what's called the CRE. It's an actual week-long audit. And they come in and they make sure that what I'm serving meets all the federal guidelines. And they go through, how are my records kept? What are my ordering guides? Am I following recipes? Am I documenting what is being thrown away? Am I documenting what is kept and how it's reused? So talking about really being micromanaged to make sure that the food quality is excellent, and that's what they're there for.
I'm guessing that what Jill just told us is going to generate some questions. I was sitting over here thinking of some, but I don't have any paper on my chair, so I'll have to come swipe some. Our next speaker is going to be Emily Madden. She's the executive director of the soup kitchen, and so she's feeding people as well, but they're not in school anymore for the most part, I think. Oh, thank you, Sid.
Years in Laramie. It started with, sorry, not very loud. It started with a group of women from the church who saw a need. They saw hungry people, and so they got together and they started making lunches. From there, it grew into a nonprofit organization, and now we're serving between 40 and 80 people a day. In the beginning, they were serving between 8 and 12. Our mission is to provide a hot and healthy meal to anyone that wants it. And so we say that our motto is hunger hits more than the stomach. So part of what we do is provide a welcoming space for anyone to come to share a meal, and also to get some food resources that they might have trouble receiving elsewhere. In 2013, we served nearly 20,000 meals, and we gave out almost 250 food baskets to individuals. So that's a lot of people that we're feeding. We have a lot of partnerships in Laramie. We work with Feeding Laramie Valley. We get a lot of fresh produce in the summertime from them. We get about 1,400 pounds of fresh produce that we're processing and serving to our clients. And almost all of the food that we serve is donated. So we're pretty lucky that way that we can provide diverse and healthy meals with donated meals. That offers some challenges. We don't really have menus or recipes like the school district has to follow, so we have to get a little bit creative with what we have. But we have 2 staff members, 2 cooks, and they have done really well at using the resources that we have to make sure that our clients are getting fresh vegetables and whole grains and non-processed foods. We have a pretty diverse client base. We have families coming in, we have students coming, we have retired people, we have homeless people, we have the working poor. So it really is a service that's meeting a lot of needs across the board. We are inspected by the health department, so they come in and make sure that or by the city health inspector to make sure that we are providing safe food for people. That's always one of our concerns. We know that our clients have some health issues and income issues, so we want to make sure that the food we serve is healthy and fresh and isn't going to make anyone sick.
Thanks, Emily. Our next speaker is Sandra Kassir. She's the treasurer and a board member of Interfaith Good Samaritan, and has done a lot of other things in her life in Laramie. I won't go into all the details, but brings a slightly different point of view to food needs in Laramie.
Good evening. Can you see me?
I was going to offer you a stool.
Those of you who aren't familiar with Interfaith Good Samaritan, I'll give you a brief overview. It was established in the mid-'80s. It was a merger of 2 groups. One was called Interfaith Clearinghouse, and the other was called Good Samaritan. It was church-based, and churches and religious organizations still play a large part of interfaith. We initially did not deal with food. We were more interested in shelter for stranded travelers and homeless people in Laramie. By the mid-'90s, though, we started a small food pantry. Back then, there were other food pantries in town. There was one at St. Lawrence. Salvation Army had a food pantry as well. In the last 10 years, however, Salvation Army, who had been giving out the USDA monthly distribution, they decided to get out of the business, and Interfaith volunteered to take that over. So that is one of the food programs that we're involved with. But now we also run a large food pantry. It relies a lot on donations. We buy food from the food bank at a reduced cost. We buy from local grocery stores, and we get a lot donated. I'm sure everyone here probably has donated in the past. It's a wonderful thing, and Laramie is a very generous community. There are lots and lots of food drives. One of the missions of Interfaith is to cooperate with other agencies, and we do that with the Soup Kitchen, with SAFE, with the Youth Crisis Center, Salvation Army, and others. When we get food from the commodities once a month, those agencies also get a portion of that food. The people who can come for USDA food have to be earn only 135% of the federal guideline. Now, that's a number that doesn't mean anything to most people. But for a family of 4, you can only earn $30,612 in a year. For one person, a lot of people are single these days, that's $14,940. If you make under that, then you are eligible to go and get food from the USDA once a month. Those products that come, we don't learn about until a week before they come. Now, the end of January, a week ago today, what we got were chicken quarters and frozen strawberries. So that was what would be dispersed. You would get a certain portion depending on your family size. Some months we don't get any protein at all. It can be dried figs. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'd be hard pressed to come up with a recipe for dried figs. You know, and it might be canned soup and other things that are good for you, but sometimes very low on protein. So what we try and do when the protein level is low is we try and use some of our funds to buy protein to supplement what we have to offer people through the food pantry. Now, okay, you've come once a month for USDA commodities, but you can come once a week and get money from the food pantry. You don't have to meet any means test to come to the food pantry initially. If you need to come more frequently, then Tom Martin, who's our executive director, usually likes to have a visit with you to make sure you and your family are using all the resources that are available to you. Are you signed up for the supplemental nutrition program, food stamps? If you're a young mother, are you getting the women, infants, and children's supplement? To make sure that you have all the means possible to get the nutrition and food that you need. We also get bread and pastry products from the grocery stores in town. We have several people who go and get that. And anybody can come in and get a loaf of bread, and I mean anybody. Sometimes we get cases of hot dog buns, but it goes fast. So there are 2 programs that we deal with, the USDA and then our food pantry. USDA, in December, we serviced 300 households, and that was for the county. We had people from Centennial, Rock River, etc. In our food pantry in December, I don't have the exact figures, but it was around 5,000 people came in or got food for 5,000 people. It might be the mom or the dad or somebody coming in for a family of 4, saying. So that's a lot of people when you think of our population. Some of these people obviously come weekly because they need it. They may have a job, but they don't make a lot of money, and by being able to get food, then they can pay their other bills, their utilities, which they need now. That is not the only mission of Interfaith, but that's the food portion. And what Jill didn't talk about was the backpack program particularly, which is in collaboration with Interfaith. They do all the work. We provide some money, and we have lots of generous people in town, including Sodexo, that gives money for the backpack programs. Right now, what did you say, 100 backpacks?
100 backpacks
A week. And then we also service 6 families that go to Head Start. So the backpack program is successful. That's for weekend food for children, and also
Well, get involved in the beginning stages. Don't wait and hide behind the curtains and then all of a sudden throw eggs at the decision makers. Sorry, my soapbox.
No, I'm glad you did that, because that's totally true. You may not, if you go, and you don't have to go every time, but go enough that you know what they're doing, that you know who's on the different boards and commissions. You elected, in some cases, you elected these people. In other cases, they get appointed by the folks that you elected. And, what are they charged with, and what are they doing? And it concerns us. And as but it's so true. After the fact, they come out of the woodwork. Sometimes months later, after it's long gone, you don't dare go to the post office because somebody doesn't like what you did 6 months before, but never mind. That's my own private little list. Well, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been obviously reading articles. There's been a lot of news articles about things that are connected with, I think, are connected with the Farm Bill. But one of you was talking about what you got for surplus commodities, and you get different things different
Yes.
times.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for, I want you to tell me when you get the grape juice, because I just read that some members of Congress got a specific bill passed that says that they're going to buy, and I don't know the quantity, but it was something like $11 million worth of grape juice from vintners in vineyards in New York State, because they had a bumper crop, and so we need to, this is going to be a surplus commodity now. And it's good, because we're going to get this out to folks that need this in their commodities. So one of these weeks, you're going to be getting grape juice, I think.
That has occurred several times in the
Yes.
last few years, in my memory. When the bison market crashed, the reason they do this is they don't want these people to go out of business, and they want the produce to go to a good place. They don't want it just thrown away and waste of food. They've done it with bison. They've done it with lamb.
Yes, we got
Yes.
lamb a few months ago.
Oh,
I
did you?
mean, yes, American lamb. I mean, and if anybody goes to the grocery
Oh.
store, I mean,
Oh.
it's outrageous. And here we were handing it out. I mean, it was
Great.
wonderful. It was boneless legs of lamb.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
We can qualify.
Oh,
No.
Sorry,
a
but
leg of lamb is almost as good as a prime rib.
sometimes it's better.
Yes, in the hands of a right cook. Do you have more questions for us, or could I?
Anybody else from the audience? More? Jerry?
It sounds like there's a lot going on, raising food, and finding a good place for it to be used and that kind of thing. Except in the summer for underprivileged kids. Is that the biggest kind of void, or?
Yeah, it's
Thing that
been
isn't
on our
happening.
list for a few years now. We would qualify for open site. There is the lunch program at Linford, but that means you have to get there. And there's also a problem with some kids, that's where summer school is held. So to just go for lunch where summer school is held, I mean, they're just issues. And there is obviously a transportation problem. So we're hoping to get we're now in the old Children's Museum, Feeding Laramie Valley is, and we're hoping to get a commercial kitchen put in there at that point, then we'll be able to operate as an open site and start looking at doing lunch programs in the parks during the summer, and hopefully in a variety of locations, so the kids it'll be easier for the kids to get there. It's a huge gap.
Is there a way that you could utilize students from Acres or some of the other university programs who are here for summer school, and most of them need some kind of community service program?
We do all the time.
But
We have
to
a paid
get them,
internship program and unpaid internship and volunteer programs, and the students are amazing.
but to get them to do backpacks for the summer. There must, surely, the children who need backpacks during the school year are quite probably the same children.
You still have to, from our side, you still have to have commercial kitchen I don't know for the backpack if it's not.
It's not.
But
But it's still
there's still a funding and logistics issue.
Logistic,
Transportation.
the kids.
The transportation, getting it to them, and then the funding to pay for it. But I think we're not too far off being able to do this. I
That's
think we
great.
need to do it.
That's great.
Suzanne?
Are you considering home-delivered meals? Like the Epsom Center does?
Right, which is actually a program that's been,
Can we implement
getting
something like
less.
that for the backpack?
that would be something, and it would be I think it would be a great, I'm looking at you because I think it would be a great student, university and nonprofit partnership. to figure, as a way of delivering in the summer. So I think that would be something
And there are
really great to consider.
the vans that are used to take people home after bar trips. That,
Safe ride.
thank you.
That's through transport.
Right, but it's all a part of the university.
It is, yeah.
So that might be some way who'd be, you know, a way to transport things.
That's a good idea, definitely. The only problem that first comes to mind, especially if it's something we're doing in the summer, is Acres' number one problem is that we don't have enough volunteers to even get our own work done on the farm.
It's actually very hard to get student volunteers during the summer.
Yeah, and during the winter, there's like 5 people in our club, so.
When they have a school project assignment, and when we do paid internships, we have better luck.
Makes a big
But
difference.
summer is a poor availability for student help. But if we can motivate them.
Well, perhaps there would be a way to do a summer internship where they just get credit. You don't have to do anything but fill out the paperwork, and then you'd probably get more students.
Well, and that is what we do. But they
Yeah.
mostly want spring and fall internships.
Have you worked with, the court system for people to?
And that's a great, and I believe you have a lot of experience with that,
Yeah.
too.
Brett's dying to say something.
Go ahead.
It's actually been a great, and it's often a huge turnaround for community service, that people are doing community service, and it really opens their eyes to people who are in need in ways that maybe they aren't. And I think it's changed lives in a lot of ways.
We get volunteers that are not happy that they are doing mandatory volunteering when they first come. And after their 75 or 100 hours, their attitudes have completely changed, and a lot of them come back and volunteer on their own afterwards. So it's a pretty remarkable program.
Yeah, that's it.
I wanted to ask some questions,
Good.
just
Please
for
do.
some curiosity on my part. We seem to have a fairly good age distribution. How many people have, I call them deep freezers, but a freezer other than what's in your refrigerator freezer? For the people that don't, why don't you?
Because I rent.
I don't have a place to put it.
I don't have the funds to afford them.
I think it's the funds.
Okay, because, well, I was raised pretty much at the head of the creek, and my mother had about an acre garden every year. That's probably one reason I don't garden anymore.
You pulled weeds in that garden for a long time.
Yes, and being the seventh of 7 sons, I was the labor. But it's, we seem to have focused a lot on fruits and vegetables. One of the questions I have is how many people, will buy like a half a beef, or buy,
Or go hunting.
but it's,
Or fishing.
one of the
flying.
things that, do you realize that you can, if you can find a local rancher, 3 or 4 of you can go in together, and if they're fattening out a beef, or I sell lambs, not because I sell them, but, you realize you can buy animals that are, and you can get it harvested however you want, and have it in the freezer and have it there? Is there?
2 grass-fed steers that are ready to go right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I say, we focused a lot on the fruits and vegetables. And I used to be the county agent here, and I understand the limitations on gardening, and we've kind of hit on those, but don't forget, if you are willing to buy a freezer, and I know that upfront cost, but in about 2 years, you're gonna pay for it. If you will buy, because essentially if you buy half a beef, you're gonna get about the price, a little bit more than hamburger, is what you're gonna pay for your steaks, your roast, your prime rib. But, you can, chickens are a little harder, because you can buy a few of them, but, hogs aren't as easy. But, talking about the community, if people will work together and you want a good nutrition, beef is one of the most nutritious meats out there, you know, especially some of the micro, I'm probably saying this maybe in the wrong crowd. But, you know, with a lot of the micronutrients, meat is a great source of protein. It doesn't have, you don't want to have to eat 5 pounds of it a day like I tend to, but.
I would like to
Amy.
point out along that same line that frequently you can arrange with a local grower to feed only grass and hay, and to be sure that there are no antibiotics, no steroids, and other additives, if you're concerned about that, which I am. Secondly, when you do have this availability, and for the fruits and vegetables also, I hire nursing students actually, to help look after my mama, who is very elderly and needs a lot of help. Not one of them knows how to boil an egg.
Oh, I agree.
There are
Yes.
many of them who I think still don't know that a chicken doesn't come in little nuggets, that it was once a living bird. Scrambling an egg, making actual oatmeal. What do you do with a fresh vegetable other than pick it up and eat it? How do you make them tasty? How do you make even eggplant appetizing? This is not only the young. I realize it's not only the young. There are a lot of elderly dotsy ladies like me who are just as bad about that. But there are a lot of kids who are not being taught how to prepare foods so that they are tasty. My husband is the world's pickiest veggie eater. He likes them properly cooked, mushy to me.
Oh, that
There's
sounds
a world
familiar,
of
ma'am.
difference. There's a lot of things you can do, and you don't always just have to add cheese to it. Thank you.
Hannah?
On that note, like, just stuff like that, I think a lot of people don't know, like, that events like this happen. I think that if we had more frequently had events like this where we can just talk about anything, like talk about, yeah, you can cook food, or yeah, we have these resources or these problems, like maybe people will start coming out of the woodwork, like, oh, hey, I can help with that, like, I have an idea. But just what, there's like 20 or 30 people here right now? I feel like there's a lot more people that would be interested, but that don't come to these events, or maybe they don't know they're happening, or I think, like, to solve a lot of these problems, we just need more people on board to start these conversations.
Well,
Margaret, can I ask-
and you all need to spread the word.
What is the best way to reach you?
To reach
Social media.
me?
Yeah, you personally, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but, you know, do you get the local newspaper?
Nope.
How did you learn about this?
How did we learn about this?
Are you from Acres?
Yeah, we're the Acres
We're from
people.
Acres.
Well, because that's one of the, you know, I work with Wyoming Farm Bureau Federation, but that's one of the, you know, how do you reach people?
Yes, it's very hard.
Facebook page.
Well, actually, even being a redneck, I'm on that, but it is very, you know, but that's a question of how do you reach people, because, you know, when I was young, the communities were a lot stronger. You know, my mother was a member of the Homemakers Club, I was in 4-H and FFA, you know, that was our social activity. But now, my kids had that because I made them, because I'm a redneck, and by golly, they're gonna do what's good for them. But, you know, that's a question of how do we reach people that need the help, to let them know about the resources. You know, you folks know about it, I know about it, but it's because of my involvement with the schools in 4-H and FFA and my church. You know, that's how I know about these resources. But that's one of the things that I seem to be hearing, is that we've got people that need help. We've got some resources to do it, but we're doing our best, but we need to do better, but how do we do better? And I don't know, I don't have an answer to it.
I honestly think that there's not much that you can do except for try to put out your best effort as an individual. Like, I work at New to You, and I like to talk about Acres and different stuff, and I don't know, kind of spread the word about different things, just casually. I don't know if maybe we could do something like on campus where there's more people, like nobody's gonna see us in here right now. but I don't know, just like being seen and heard whenever possible, even when it's just in a conversation passing by. I don't know if that's really helpful at all, but that's my only idea that I had.
Well, I think it's really helpful because somebody hears it from you, that's much more approachable or personal
Yeah.
than reading an announcement in the paper or something like that. Do we have access to Sensible Nutrition program here? Do you know?
Yes, that's ran through the county extension office, but the Sensible Nutrition program is very limited. It's not available to the general public.
Well, I knew that. I knew that there were
But
requirements.
yes, that's probably, in my estimation, one of the best programs that Cooperative Extension has.
And in terms of teaching people how to use food available and how to prepare meals and so forth, I think that's outstanding, so.
I think there are a couple things, just to get back to the social media thing. When we post on Facebook constantly when we're at the farmer's market, so we take pictures of people who just brought the biggest zucchini of the day. The very next farmer's market, or even sometimes later that day, people show up because they saw, it's like, I'm gonna beat that zucchini, and they show up an hour later with a bigger zucchini to donate. And the other thing is you have to think about what venue and form that you're offering to people. Right. When we did a hands-on gardening workshop where people went from station to station, we did it with all these folks here, Sonia and Trish, and we all got together and we did a hands-on gardening workshop last year. We held it on the west side, and we leafleted all the places that don't typically get leafleted. We did it through social media, we did it all kinds of advertising. We had over 300 people show up for that, and it was free.
That's beautiful.
And it was done at the Lincoln Community Center, and it was the most diverse group of people. It was not 90% white, which is what we usually see in Laramie. So it has to do with what you invite. You can't just say, oh, they can come if they want. You have to actually reach out to the mixed populations that you want to have attend and be part of the work you're doing.
And it has to be convenient for them to come as well.
And it has to be free.
Right.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Free, just wondering if it would make sense for some group, I'm not sure which group, to invite some outside speakers. I find that there's a lot of new research and development going on in nutrition, and there's a lot of speakers that can really make a show of teaching people what nutrition really is. And Dr. Oz show, for example, he's very dynamic, and I couldn't get him, but somebody of his caliber that could really come in and draw an audience and make a difference.
Well, and I'm guessing a group could probably get some outtakes from his programs if you wanted to pick a vegetable or pick a nutrient.
Eggplant.
Or something. He might have a segment on that you could use. I'm guessing. I don't know. Anything else? At this point, I would like the panelists to spread out a little bit, and if any of you want to talk to any of them specifically, please take this time to do that. Susan Simpson's been videotaping this, whatever you're doing with that little tiny camera. And this will be posted on the League website, which is wyominglwv.org, and the Laramie League has a page on there, and the library page will have a link to that when it gets posted. The librarian told me that their page runs through their website runs through the county server, and they have limited space available, so they'll just put a link on theirs on the library page to go to this.
There were 2 interruptions in the recording.
Oh, shucks. So we have to go back and say those things again?
Well, Gail, stand up.
Talking about publicity and commercials.
Give commercials.
There's a benefit for the Laramie Soup Kitchen this Saturday at the Undercroft, put on by the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Laramie. It's our annual chocolate fiesta, and so you can come and eat unhealthily or buy a gift for someone else and contribute to their unhealthiness.
Isn't chocolate one of the 4 major food groups?
It's at least in the top 3.
Anyway, and you need to indulge every now and then.
Right.
And all the proceeds from the chocolate fiesta go to the soup kitchen.
And tell us again where it is going to be?
At the Undercroft at St. Matthew's Cathedral.
Okay,
That's the
Saturday?
basement.
The basement.
The basement.
You know where the clothing what is it called?
Clothing
Clothing
cottage.
cottage, right. Or the Hunter Collins, they used to call it, you come in off of the back street off of University.
Oh, and it goes right downstairs.
There.
And tell me what time, tell us what time?
10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Yeah, 10 to 2.
10 to 2. And if you want the best
If you would like to
selection,
donate,
go early.
We are accepting baked goods if you'd like to donate to the cause. Tomorrow evening from, I think there'll be people there from
5 to 7.
5 to 7 or 4. Some people have put 4.
Yeah, 4 to 7. I'll
Yeah,
be there.
4 or 5 to 7, and then again from 8 to 10 on Saturday morning.
Okay. And it's lots of yummy things. Did you have a
Yes.
question? Okay. All right. So, thank you all.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Stick around. People are going to want to ask you questions, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
If you girls need